Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40K Imperial Guard and Gene Stealer Colt Tactics video. So before we get to today's video, I want to say a big thank you to Mark Bradley for sending in these really cool pictures of his Imperial Guard. Lots of action shots, absolutely love it. Love the special effects, really cool. But even without the special effects, I mean, the paint scheme for these guys is really, really good. I really enjoy it. So thank you for sending this in, Mark. Really enjoyed the pictures. If anyone else has got any cool photos they want to send in to me, please post on my Facebook page. There will be a link down in the description below. And if they are cool, like these ones, then I will for sure be using them in my video. So, we're going to be taking a look at the 9th Regiment of the Imperial Guard. But this is also going to be quite important for Gene Stealer Cult players. And it's something that I think I've not really touched upon in the first couple of videos that I did about the Hive Cult, and then we've done the Rusted Claw. These videos that I'm doing, yes, they are relevant to, obviously, and aimed at Imperial Guard players, but they are still perfectly valid for if you're getting into the cult as a cultist. Like that's you know, you're not really bothered about the Guard, you're getting into it for the cult. What we're covering here, guys, is how to build a shooty Gene Stealer Cult list. Because what I think is really interesting about the cult is the fact that, unlike the Guard, which are really focused on shooting, and there's a way you can get them to be good in combat. You can start having Cathchans and Priests and Strachan, and you can do that, sure. But realistically, the majority of what you're trying to do is going to be shooting based. Whereas with the cult, the regiment traits are split pretty evenly. You've got 3 which are definitely good for shooting, and you've got 3 which are definitely focused on close combat. So it's a good split. So what I'm getting here is that Games Workshop wants us to have the option to take an all-shooting cult list, and that's very important because despite the fact the cult is very good at close combat, shooting is king in 8th edition. There are some wacky tournament builds that can really leverage close combat, but generally speaking, shooting is king. And if you look at the latest LVO results, the 2 armies that were in the final was an Eldar fly list, that's pretty much all shooting, and a Guard and Knights list, which is of course pretty much all shooting. So shooting is king, and the fact that the Gene Stealer Cult, as we've seen in the previous 2 videos, have the ability to leverage great shooting capabilities means that this puts them in contention to be very, very competitive, which is great. Absolutely fantastic. So we're going to be looking at the last of those Colt Creeds, which you should consider if you want to build a more sort of shooting based Gene Stealer Cult army, or if you are a Imperial Guard player, one of the Colt Creeds you want to be considering as an alternative to the regiments of the Imperial Guard, something that you can just use without having to buy any additional models. You can just say, I'm going to be using these guys. Okay, now we're going to be looking at the Bladed Cog, and their Colt Creed is Cyborgized Hybrids. Now, this one would be quite interesting for Vostroyan. Yeah, this would be quite, because Vostroyans use a lot of augmentics, so this would be quite good for them to represent their fluff. All models with this Colt Creed have a 6+ invulnerable save. Models with this Colt Creed that already have an invulnerable save instead improve their invulnerable save by 1 to a maximum of 3+. In addition, infantry models with this Colt Creed do not suffer the penalty to hit rolls for moving and shooting heavy weapons. Now, I find this one very, very interesting, and it's kind of in contention with the Rusted Claw Nomadic Survivalists, but I think, and I'll tell you why in a second. So, when both of these sort of focus on durability, the Rusted Claw gives you an addition to your save. The Cyborgized Hybrids, Bladed Cog, gives you a 6+ invulnerable save. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages to this, and inevitably these two are going to get compared. if your infantry are being focused down by small arms, then the Rusted Claw is superior, because if you're getting hit by a -1 weapon, then you still get a 5+ save. Whereas if the Bladed Cog get hit by a -1 weapon, well, it doesn't make a difference. They get 6 of invuln or 6 of armor. It's only when they start getting hit by things which have -2 does it really come into effect. Because if you're getting hit by something which is -2, then at least as a Bladed Cog, you get a save. As a Rusted Claw guy, you wouldn't get a save, because your ability only affects AP 0 and AP -1. The moment it becomes AP -2, it cuts straight through your armor. And the only way you could possibly get a 6+ save would be if you were behind cover and we were making that Rusted Claw firebase. That's the only way you could do it. Now, some of you are going to be saying, yes, but the majority of the time your infantry are going to be shot by AP -1 weapons. I mean, think about it. What is AP -2 out there? Like a crack missile is the first thing that comes to mind. Well, actually, take a second to think about this. Genuinely. There are 2 competitive AP -2. There's more, obviously. But there are 2 or 3 competitive horde clearing weapons which also have a very high AP that I can think of. The first one, which is less common but is making a bit of a comeback, is the Riptide. Because the Riptide has a high yield burst cannon, which is normally only AP -1, but every Tau player under the sun who knows what they're doing will put an advanced targeting system on that Riptide, and suddenly its heavy burst cannon becomes AP -2, which will just shred your Rusted Claw guys, especially if they Nova-charge that thing. Another one which you are much more likely to see in the competitive scene is the Imperial Knight Gatling Cannon, which is strength 6, so it wounds on 2s, and it's AP -2. That thing is, again, just going to shred your Rusted Claw guys. So you've got to, and the last, another thing, what about, we touched on it last video, what about Deathwatch? Deathwatch making a huge comeback. Any Deathwatch player worth his salt will very quickly realise that shooting your Rusted Claw guys with 2+ to wound ammo isn't going to cut it, because you're going to get a 3+ save if you're in cover. So he's immediately going to switch, or you're going to get a 4+ save even out in the open. So he's immediately going to switch to his AP -2 rounds. He's still wounding you on 3s. He can get reroll 1s to wound via mission tactics. He's still going to do that. And if he does that, he just cuts straight through you. And at best, you'll be equal to the Bladed Cog. But you have to set it up with cover. It means you're not as mobile. It means you're sort of restricting yourself. Sometimes you'll need to march out across open ground. And I feel like if you're wanting to take wave upon wave of infantry, that you're just going to march the enemy, cover be damned, Bladed Cog is the way to go. Because you've always got that 6 up feel no pain. 6 up invulnerable save. You've always got it. No one can really take that away from you. So yeah, that's what you want to bear in mind. Now, what I find very interesting about this is the second part. So that's good. That's sort of the argument you have to decide if you want to go Bladed Cog or Rusted Claw. What I think makes the Bladed Cog potentially edge it over the Rusted Claw, and it depends on your playstyle. You're going to have to decide how this fits in. If you want a gun line, probably Rusted Claw. If you want to send waves and waves of infantry at the enemy, you want to be going Bladed Cog, not only for the 6 of invuln, but mostly, guys, for the second part of the Creed, which is infantry with this Colt Creed do not suffer the penalty to hit rolls for moving and shooting heavy weapons. Now, this is what the Talon trait should have been. The Talon trait should have been everyone, if you're infantry or vehicle, you don't bother about heavy weapons. That's what it should have been. Because instantly, guys, that makes the Bladed Cog so much more maneuverable. Because you no longer have to ever make that decision, oh, do I stay still and get good shots off with my mining lasers, or do I or do I move forward and try and take some ground, but then I reduce my firepower? No. How I would, if you were going to go Bladed Cog as an Imperial Guard army, I would go all infantry. Straight up. All infantry. I'd take 3 phalanxes. And each one of those phalanxes, I would cram as many neophyte hybrids in as I could. And you know what the combos are, guys. We're talking mining lasers. We're talking grenade launchers. We're talking heavy stubbers. Load those neophytes up with heavy weapons. Load them up with the damage dealers. Because then you're going to be taking that beautiful, beautiful character, the Jackal Alphas. And you will be able to quite comfortably march across the field, hitting on 3s with your 3 phalanxes. I mean, put it this way. What if you're facing down like a triple knight list? You know, you're facing something down like a triple knight list. Or even just facing down any sort of triple knights is a good example. You could literally send easily like 60, 80 infantry at each one of those knights. And you're going to be able... And don't forget you're going to have character support in there. Don't forget you've got a 6-up field pain and a 6-up invulnerable save if you take an icon ward. You know, and you could just be marching across the field, blasting away with your mining lasers. You can still have some Kelemorphs in there if you really want, although I think that would start eating into your upgrade capability. I mean, you could have, like I said, you could have about, I'd say you want to be aiming at like 200 infantry with this. 200 infantry, big blocks of 20, marched up the field, fuck going underground. Let's just get in there nice and dirty. You could do, I mean, that's one way you could do it. Or you could literally just have, I wouldn't say fuck underground actually. I'd say 1,000 points in underground and 1,000 points of Bladed Cog infantry going up the field. That's the way you do it. You're fearless, you're tough, and you don't drop any firepower. You're always on those 3s to hit. Always. It's really, and the thing is, it's so much more maneuverability. Because if I could say one issue I've noticed with the Colt is they do, it might sound crazy, whilst they've got good popping up and attacking things, after that their initial ability to get around the map is a bit limited. You can try like returning to shadows and stuff like that, but having that ability to just march everywhere, blasting everywhere, will get you places. It genuinely will. So, for any of you guys out there that like to run pure infantry armies, this is something you want to consider. You know, proxy your Lascans as mining lasers. No one gives a shit if you just try and get out and test it, see if it works. Yeah, you can. I think this is very powerful for an all infantry list. I would take this because what's one of the I genuinely, right? If you went, to give you an idea of how effective this could be, okay? To give you an idea. Take a little think back to when I did my all infantry list versus Tau. And in my all infantry list, I had 90 infantry that were marching up the field, 90 infantry that were providing fire support. And the problem was that my 90 infantry sort of marched the field and they got in amongst the enemy's faces, but then I had to start moving my support units up and my firepower dwindled off quite badly. I still, I won the game, but my firepower drifted off quite badly. Imagine if I hadn't had to keep those squads sitting still or string them out with conga lines. Imagine if I hadn't had to do that. Imagine if everyone could have been on the offensive from turn 1. The Tau wouldn't have even been close. The Tau would have been overwhelmed in a matter of moments. So there you go, guys. Think about it. Consider it. Consider the amount of firepower you're able to level with this. I think it's really powerful. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? How would you implement this? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.